Ayan. Okay, I think it's about time. 30, Yogendra, has he joined the class? Yes, beta. Start your presentation.
मैम 2 मिनट.
Okay, take your time.
मैम screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is visible. Go ahead.
Federalism. Porto Alegre, a city in Brazil, has conducted extraordinary experiment in combining decentralization with participative democracy. Porto Alegre, Porto Alegre has set up parallel organization which operate the municipal council as well as enabling local inhabitants to participate in their decisions making for their city. Nearly 13 lakh people in the city of Brazil participated in making of the budget for their country. They divided the city into many wards of sector. Each sector has a meeting. Anyone living in that area can participate in these meetings. The budget of the city is discussed in these meetings. This method ensured that money cannot be spent only for rich but also for the poor people. The work of Prime Minister. The Prime Minister is the senior most member of cabinet and the executive of the government. In a parliamentary system, the Prime Minister selects and can dismiss members of the cabinet, allocates posts to members within government, and is the presiding members and chairperson of the cabinet. The work of Chief Minister. According to the Constitution of India, the governor is a state head, but to factor executive authority rests with the Chief Minister. The Chief Minister heads a state government and council of ministers and can be deputed in their role by a deputy chief minister.
So, Yogendra, did you know that the presentation had to be at least 5 minutes long? Was it 5 minutes long?
No, ma'am.
So you should just know that you are not getting good marks in this. All right. I'll move. I'll move ahead. Next will be rule number 3, Archit.
Yes, ma'am, I am presenting.
Okay, do that.
Ma'am, it is visible.
Yes, it is visible.
Federalism, decentralization in India. Decentralization in India, the process of transferring and assigning decision-making authority to lower levels of an organization hierarchy. Knowledge, ideas, and information are flowing from the bottom to the top of organization. The small of control of top managers is relatively small. Definition of decentralization: when the power is taken away from central and state government and given to local government is called decentralization. Forms of decentralization: deconcentration, delegation, and devolution. Deconcentration. Deconcentration is the weakest form of decentralization and is used most frequently in unitary states. Redistribute decision-making authority and financial and management responsibility among different levels of the organization. Then delegation. Delegation is a more extensive form of decentralization through delegation center. Organization transfer responsibility of decision making and administration of public functions to controlled by the central government but ultimately accountable to it. Devolution. Devolution is an administrative type of decentralization when organizations devolve functions. They transfer authority for decision making, finance, and management to constituency units of local departments with corporate status. Limitations of decentralization: more cost, no specialization, need more specialists, no uniform action, no equitable distribution of work. Benefits of decentralization: preventing employees, relieving the burden, preparing for emergencies, more efficient decision making, ease of expansion. The major step towards decentralization was taken in 1992. First, now it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular election to local government bodies. Second, seats are reserved in the elected bodies and the executive heads of these institutions for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, and other backward classes. Third, at least one third of all positions are reserved for women. Fourth, an independent institution called the State Election Commission had been created in each state to conduct panchayat and multiple election. Fifth, the state governments are required to share some powers and revenue with local government bodies. The nature of sharing varies from state to state. This is the image of decentralized system. This is the flowchart of decentralization: political, administrative, deconcentration, delegation, devolution, then physical, then market, privatized market, and deregulation. Concept of decentralization. Decentralization refers to dispersion of authority. According to Align, decentralization applies to the systematic delegation to authority in the organization-wide concept. In decentralization structure, a manager enjoys authority, but at the same time he is held responsible for contributions of total facility put under his control. Effective delegation of authority is prerequisite for the success of decentralization. Thank you.
Okay, moving ahead. Roll number 21, Shivam.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
My topic is power sharing, and there are four forms of power sharing. First form is the power sharing among political parties, pressure groups, and movements. The second form of power sharing is among government at different levels. And the third form of power sharing is among political parties, and the fourth form is among different social groups. And this is this is the flow. This is the slide about the power sharing among the political parties, pressure groups, and movements. No political party enjoys power sharing for power forever. It is for the people to decide who should be in power. With the emergence of coalition government, many parties share power at the same time. Pressure group and movements have shared in power by exerting pressure on the government. They exert pressure by various means and get policies framed in their favor. The second form of power sharing is among different social groups. That should be women's, SCs, and STs all should we have equal power. Socially weaker sections also have to have share in power. Community government in Belgium is one example for this type of power sharing. In India, it is done by way of reservation, as the constituencies are reserved and some constituencies are reserved for STs, SCs, and women. Constituencies and seats are reserved for women as SCs and STs. Thus, power is shared among different social groups. This is the flowchart about the power sharing among the organs of government. Legislat- Legislature make laws, executive implement laws, and judiciary resolves disputes. Legislature, executive, and judiciary keep a check on each other. This results in the balance of power among various institutions. This arrangement is also called a system of check and balance. This is the third form of power sharing. And the fourth form of power sharing is power sharing among the governments at different levels. Power can be shared among governments at different levels. A general government for the entire country and government at the provincial or regional level. Like today, at the corona time, the central government has given the right to the government of the states to reopen the schools and all. This is the example for this one. Such a general government for the entire country is usually called federal government. In India, we refer to it as the central or union government. The governments at the provincial or regional level are called by different names in different countries. In India, we call them state governments. Higher level of governments will have more say than the lower levels. The president will take advice from those beneath him, but ultimately the final decision on any subject related to government is down to him. The final decision will be president, and these are four forms of power sharing. Power is shared among different organs of government. Power is shared among government at different levels. Power is shared among different social groups. Power is also shared among political parties, pressure groups, and movements. Thank you.
Okay, let's move ahead. Pujita, 16.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, it is visible.
Nationalism in Europe, the French Revolution and the idea of the nation. Sense of collective identities in French people. La patrie, the fatherland, les citoyens, the citizen. It means that they are the citizen of the same nation. A new French flag, the tricolor, the National Assembly, hymns, oaths, and martyrs were commemorated. Centralized administration and uniform laws, abolition of internal custom duties and dues. It means that the internal custom, it means the region wise that the measures the weight was there, but this was abolished and a uniform system of weight and measures was adopted. French became the common language of the nation. Impact of revolution on Europe. Mission and destiny of the revolution to liberate the peoples of Europe from despotism. Despotism means the absolute power, the exercise of absolute power in cruel way. So the mission was to liberate the peoples of Europe. Students and educated middle classes set up Jacobin clubs in other countries. These clubs helped French armies to carry the idea of nationalism abroad. Napoleon. When Napoleon return of minority was there, Napoleonic Code or Civil Code of 1804. In regions under French control, the Napoleonic Code removal of all the privileges based on birth. It means that all the privileges based on nobles or clergy was removed. Equality before law, and there was right to property for French people. In Dutch, in Switzerland, in Italy and Germany, there were simplified administrative divisions, abolished feudal system. Feudal system in it, the crown gives the land to nobles. In return, nobles give them service for military, and then nobles give them to vassals, and vassals have peasants who did the work of labor. Freed peasants from serfdom. Serfdom is the state of being feudal laborer, and manorial dues. Manorial dues, it means that the fees the peasants have to give to the nobles and the vassals. In towns, guild restrictions were removed. Guild was an association of craftsmen or merchants which often have a power, and the restrictions on them were removed. Transport and communication systems were improved. Uniform laws, standardized weights and measures, and a common national currency was adopted. Enthusiasm soon turned into hostility. The the countries in which all this enthusiasm of Napoleonic Code was there and the French Revolution was there, it soon turned into hostility due to loss of political freedom. They get to know that due to Napoleon, their political freedom is lost and there is a return of monarchy. There was increased taxation, censorship. Censorship, it means that the separation or prohibition of any part of books or news or anything, magazines, which the political powers suppress them not to show anything or to restrict them to write something that was against them. Forced conscription into the French armies to fight wars. It means that they persuaded that conscription means that the compulsory enlistment for state army. So they were forced to um, get into the armies, into the French armies to fight wars. Thank you.
23. Simone.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Om Shri Saram. I am going to present my presentation on the topic Development Economics Chapter 1. First of all, we understand what is development. Development is defined as growth. Some of the important goals are seeking more income, equal treatment, freedom, security, respect from others, etc. Or another way to define development is development is a comprehensive term which include increasing in real per capita income, improvement in living standard of people, reduction in poverty, literacy, criminal rate, etc. The development of the country is generally determined by the per capita income, literacy rate, and the health status. Some characteristics of development. Different people have different developmental goals. Income is the most important component for the development for some people. It may be destructive for the others. For development, people look at mixed goals. Besides thinking more income, one way or the other, people also think things like equal treatment, freedom, security, and respect of others. What development promise different people different goals? Development promise a real growth by enhancing total income and standard of living of a person. Different people have different goals. The development goals are varying from people to people. Development goals of different categories of a person. Categories of a person. Landless rural labels. Developmental goal. More days of working and better wages. Local school is able to provide equality education for their children. There is no social discrimination and they too can become leader in the village. Farmers who depend on rains. These kind of farmers These kind of farmers main goal is to have irrigation facilities, crop insurance on less premium and better facilities of life for them as well as their children. A boy from a rich urban family. He would like to go for a good education to repute institution, probably use a good brand mobile phone, a laptop and iPod. A girl from a rich urban family. She should she should be able to pursue her studies abroad, get as much as freedom her brother, and should be able to decide what she want to do. She would like to go professional education and then pursue a job. Two things are quite clear that different people can have different developmental goals. Something may be development for one may not be development for other. Thank you.
Okay, then we will have to break this activity for now. I'll just take the names of people who have not presented yet. If there is some difference, just let me know. Anjan, Anmol, Ishika Gupta, Lalit, Mitushi, Tanya, Vedika, Vishesh and Yuvraj. इन लोगों का अभी तक प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं हुआ है. Their presentation will be held immediately after the Diwali break. And जिन लोगों के आज presentation हो गए हैं, I want you. Yes, is there an issue? यश काबरा, I took your name, you did not participate, तुम्हें zero मिल गया है. Yes, anything, anybody else? तुमने कहा था तुम्हारा तैयार नहीं है, तुम्हें भी zero मिल गया है नुपुर. I am not going to conduct the test again and again. बाकी सबके लिए unfair है who are giving the test on time. I don't. Your presentations are good. Your presentations were good. Your marks will be given to you in the form of report card. So far I have received the PPTs of Jatin, Kartikeya, Pujita here. Pujita's economy, sorry, Pujita was the group one. इशाक, महक, साक्षी, सौरभ, शुभी। देखो जब तक तुम लोगों की पीपीटी मेरे पास डिपॉजिट नहीं होती मैं फाइनल मार्किंग नहीं दूंगी। तो जिन लोगों के प्रेजेंटेशंस हो गए हैं उनकी पीपीटी मेरे गूगल ड्राइव में आनी चाहिए। जब तक नहीं आएगी यू विल नॉट बी गिवन मार्क्स। फाइनल मार्किंग पीपीटी सबमिशन के बाद होगी। आई होप दैट इज लाउड एंड क्लियर। तो जिन्होंने अभी तक पीपीटी सबमिट नहीं करी है, दोज हु हैव नॉट सबमिटेड योर पीपीटी इन द गूगल ड्राइव, डू दैट टुडे because I'll be entering your marks in the mark slip very soon, and if your presentation is not here you will not be getting good marks. The presentation has to be here. I only have like 2 or 3 presentations here and that's not good. जब तक मेरे पास सबका सबमिशन नहीं आएगा तब तक मैं तुम्हें मार्क्स नहीं दूंगी. So do that as soon as possible. जिन लोगों के आज presentations हो गए हैं वो भी डाल देंगे उसमें, and we will continue this activity after Diwali break. I hope you spend a nice Diwali with your family and bless you to all of you, and that will be all for today's class. Thank you and bye.
मैम मेरा मैम पावर ऑफ हो गया तो मैम मैं प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं करा पाया था मैम। एक चांस मिल सकता है क्या मैम?
I'll see that after Diwali. I'll see that.
ओके मैम।